Hey, True Believers, England teen here. Going to talk about this. I did a video on the whole Joker pregnant thing over at Old Man Comics. Check that out. And I got to tell you, no kidding. Okay, no kidding about what this guy had to say. Let me see if I can't change the dynamic here. Here we go. The Man Who Stopped Laughing writer Matthew Rosenberg responds to backlash against pregnant Joker story. And you, my goodness, I saw this, and this is from Bounding into Comics, by the way. I read the book. Basically, that's what I did. I read the story, and in no way, shape, or form was Joker pregnant, but people lost their freaking minds. So let's see what he has to say. My guess is he's going to tell you that people lost their freaking minds. So the story here is by Spencer Bakuli. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Faced with widespread panning of his pregnant Joker story, DC writer Matthew Rosenberg has sought to clarify that his expectant take on the Clown Prince of Crime in the latest issue of Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, was intended as nothing more than an attempt at humor. And it kind of plays out that way, but once again, the art is horrible in it. I'm not going to back off on that one. As previously reported, the fourth issue of the Batman Arc Villains latest solo series featured a backup story by Rosenberg in which the Joker, after being hexed by Zatanna so that no one else will ever have his baby, accidentally ingests a large amount of Clayface refuse and subsequently gives birth to a muddy child. No, he doesn't. He vomits it up. He vomits it up. That's not giving birth, dumbasses. I had a freaking drunk night. I didn't give birth to my spaghetti dinner earlier. Unfortunately for Rosenberg, thanks to the current socio-political debate surrounding the concept of gender, his ostensible attempt at campy body horror quickly caught mainstream attention, as many readers believe the tale to be yet another endorsement by DC of neoliberal ideology. Now, look, I can absolutely see it. I mean, my first reaction, the reason why I went to the story was because of that. Because we get some bullshit where people are saying, oh, a man could be a man, or a man could be a woman could be a man. Now they can live like one, but they're never going to be one. And there's nothing wrong with that. Live your life, be who you are. But don't ask me to pretend. Let's see, DC Comics getting weirder and weirder, allowing more perverts, fetishists to make grotesque filth out of their classic characters, said former DC artist Ethan Van Sciver. His declaration fairly representative of this particular take on the whole affair. Fellows, Batman is your last sellable comics franchise. Now, he is right here. That's it. You can f around with Batman to the point where people will just take it. Oh, you know what? Okay, I'm done. I'm done. Batman is the only sellable franchise. Now, I don't know if it's because that's the only one they try to sell, but it really is. And screwing around with it is going to make people drop it. I'm sure that a lot of people before or even without reading the Joker story dropped all Batman. I was almost on the verge. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go in. I'm just going to tell them no more DC. I'm tired of it. I am so freaking tired of this. But then I thought, nope, let's see this in context. Let's see what's going on really. Okay, so it goes on to say, unhappy with such criticisms being leveled at his story, Rosenberg addressed the situation in a January 15th blog post made to his personal Substack account. Sorry, I didn't go directly to that, but here we go. If you don't get your news from the here's what's to be angry about people, you may have missed this, explained the writer to his readers, but certain corners of the world are quite mad at the new issue of The Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing. It makes the Joker trans, then they become pregnant, or he becomes pregnant and gives birth. How could we think of the children? No, just think of fans for a fucking second. Think of fans. Think of the fact that this isn't an isolated event. Think of the fact that we have seen swaps. We have seen characters written out of character, all for a comic book writer's ideology. Think of that, all right? And yes, I did my due diligence. I read the story, but you got to put this into context. This is not an individual event. So get off your high horse and think about it in the context of modern day. Only slight problem, none of that actually happens in the comic. That didn't stop Fox News, I know, right? The New York Post, Channel 1, Russia, various internet outrage peddlers. Q, okay? Once again, this is not an isolated event. I will put everybody down for not doing their due diligence. Okay. You should have freaking read the book, you jackasses. But I do understand this is not an isolated event, and DC should have understood that. And so many other sources of journalistic excellence from going all on it in this past week. Okay, sure. It should be noted that despite Rosenberg's grandstanding, neither Fox News report on the story, which was subsequently licensed and shared verbatim by the New York Post, put forth this claim. At the time of the writing, clips from the state-sponsored Channel 1 Russia's coverage were unavailable online. In fact, the report's author, Gabriel Hayes, specifically wrote that readers may be tempted to think this is part of DC's attempt to do some sort of woke LGBT inclusive storytelling, with the Joker being a transgender man undergoing a typical pregnancy, though it's not quite that simple, before going on to explain the story's actual plot. Well, good. Okay, this guy did what needed to be done. Rather, as quoted by Hayes, this erroneous read of the situation seems to have been made by a single individual, director and former U.S. congressional candidate Robbie Starbuck. In the new Joker comic, he gets pregnant and gives birth, tweeted Starbuck on January 6th. Yep, the Joker is trans now. At least the character is the Joker because a pregnant woman thinking they're pregnant man is the definition of a Joker. Who else is sick of this lunacy? Alrighty, returning to Rosenberg's post, the author then explained how the backup stories featured in Joker Man Who Stopped Laughing are made to be sort of a Silver Age style fever dream of the Jokers that explore different non-continuity explanations of how there can be multiple Jokers and other themes in the main book. In each issue, the events of the previous issues aren't discussed or acknowledged, he continued. They are literally silly gap strips. I guess that would be kind of like the DC Challenge, where you start off one and you go on. But yeah, if you want a fever dreamish kind of story, yeah, don't tell the next writer what you're doing. I guess you're going to come up with it. We wanted to pay tribute to the fun old stuff of DC's history, where Batman becomes two-dimensional, or Superman turns himself into a lion or a tree or an ant, or Jimmy Olsen marries a gorilla. That does happen. He sold that book on the auction. Or Lois Lane turns herself black. Why write that out? I don't think it should be thrown out of comic book history. I just don't. Sorry. Yeah, granted, it's weird and all that kind of stuff, but and you could say it's racist if you want. But the thing is, it was created in a space of trying to understand. Oh, it's a mess, but that's what it was. Following his own summary of story's events, Rosenberg declared that the Joker's pseudo-pregnancy isn't an allegory, metaphor, or social commentary. It's a joke. We'll say so. This doesn't come off as some sort of backpedaling. I believe trans rights are humans' rights. You know what? No freaking shit. They're human, okay? Can we stop saying that? Human rights, okay? Stop taking people out of the human race, okay? Like people don't think they're freaking human. Jesus, I hate that for anything or anybody. Okay, so with that said, it has nothing to do with this story. This is a story about magical food poisoning. Now I understand the folks at Fox News, the Post, might look up to the Joker and see as an aspirational ghost. Yes, he once grew enormous and ate all the people in China with a giant pair of chopsticks, but I guess they can look the other way on that. Why are you thinking that people are, now you're just going off on your own tangent. This is ridiculously stupid. And yes, he once cut off his own face off for fun, walked around with an exposed skull for a while, but who hasn't? And sure, he once paralyzed and then sexually assaulted a woman, took photos of it, and then projected them on a wall while he sexually assaulted her father. That never happened. I think Fox and Friends was kind of into that. I was in no way trying to damage the pristine legacy of the psychotic serial murder that they hold in such high regard, but I guess to them I did, and I apologize for that. Okay, this is a straw man in the worst way. He didn't even get his freaking facts right, but apparently wanting a character remaining the character means you support the ideology of the character. This is an incredible straw man. It derails everything he said. Well, no, it doesn't, but it definitely derails his credibility. Or maybe they work on a cycle. Okay, stop. I'll say this to anyone. I say this to people in my freaking comments all the time. Don't try to make stuff up so you can argue it. There are words that are said. Argue those words. Holy shit, I went through a whole thing with Tristan where people are doing, well, what she really means, or maybe they work on a cycle of feeding outrage and alienation to their audience in order to keep them engaged and angry. And they don't care if they take things out of context, misrepresent things. This does actually happen quite a bit. But I'm not sure. I am sure that's not it, right? Either way, thanks for promoting our book. I've heard from a lot of retailers that it's selling out. We appreciate it. Well, God bless you for the sellout. Congratulations for it. Once again, I read the story. I got angry too. I heard it and I was like, God dang it, let's make a video. Let's get those anger clicks. You know, that's why I know that does happen. And when I read it, I was like, wait a second, hold the phone, stop, or at least slow down. But no, you don't. People still piled on, didn't do their due diligence, didn't read it. That's all I got to say. Look, if somebody puts a page up, read at least a few pages back and a few pages forward. All right. We did that recently with Captain America beating the hell out of Black Panther, and had to find out what that's about. And that's the whole thing. Do your due diligence. Just like when somebody said, oh, did you see what this person said? Well, in what context did they say this? Let's see if it's as bad as it seems. Either way, gang, that's my opinions on the whole thing and the big controversy. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to click like and share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. If you don't mind helping out the channel, there's a Ko-Fi link in the description below. Drop $1 in the till. Thank you very much to everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers. Thank you very, very much for watching.